It's January 2025. I had a lot of New Year energy and I had curated all 10 books that I wanted to read for that year. Assembled my highlighters and pens, ready to note lines that sounded like wisdom to me. How did that go?
So, 2025 ended a week ago. Could I hit my reading targets? No, but I didn't do so bad. I read 6 out of 10 books. Clap for that. Which books did you read, Joanna? As usual, I'll tell you. I read Diary of a CEO. I read How to Lie with Statistics. I read Everything is Fucked. I read, oh no, I didn't read this one. I didn't read this. Yeah. Then I read Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. And I read this, and I read this. And that is why I've gathered all of you here today to share tidbits from my pick for us, Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. Usually when I'm reading a book, I highlight what sounds like wisdom to me, so that when I decide to come back to the book, I'm not reading everything. I'm just like looking at the highlights, okay? And for this book, I'm going to dwell on one of the accounts that I've nicknamed The Big Push, okay? We'll talk about everything I've highlighted. No, not everything. Some of the things I've highlighted, and then we'll dwell on the big push. Let's go. So Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, I would say, is a story of resilience, okay? He shared his childhood growing up in South Africa. Trevor grew up in political oppression. He grew up in severe poverty. He grew up in, safe to say, a broken home. But the guy was born by a woman who had grit, okay? And he inherited some of that grit. So that trait, I would say, propelled the two of them through the hell that they lived in. And Trevor came out unscathed. I mean, safe to say, he came out unharmed, okay? And in his book, he details, or he paints you a picture of what apartheid South Africa looked like. He grew up in apartheid South Africa, okay? And then he paints you a picture of the severe poverty he grew up in. And then at a point, his mother was in an abusive romantic relationship or marriage. He speaks about that as well. And Trevor was a stubborn kid. So let's get into the book. I'm going to read my highlights to you, like I said. Apartheid was perfect racism. It took centuries to develop, starting all the way back in 1652. As the British Empire fell, the Afrikaner rose up to claim South Africa as his rightful inheritance. Listen to this. To maintain power in the face of the country's rising and restless black majority, the government realized they needed a newer and more robust set of tools. So what did they do? They set up a formal commission. Listen to this. They set up a formal commission to go out and study institutionalized racism all over the world. They went to Australia, they went to the Netherlands, they went to America. They saw what worked, what didn't. Then they came back and published a report. And the government used that knowledge to build the most advanced system of racial oppression known to man. Like, do you get? Obroni created a whole team to go and study racism and come and implement it for them to be intentional about this. Yeah, because why? And also how Trevor was born. My mother, Patricia Noah, is black. My father, Robert, is white. During apartheid, one of the worst crimes you could commit was having sexual relations with a person of another race. Needless to say, my parents committed that crime. And that is why the book is called Born a Crime. And if an interracial couple got caught, God help them. The police would kick down the door, drag the people out, beat them, arrest them. At least that's what they did to the black person. No, Bibini, my bro. With a white person, it was more like, look, I'll just say you were drunk, but don't do it again. Cheers. That's how it was with a white man and a black woman. If a black man was caught having sex with a white woman, he'd be lucky if he wasn't charged with rape. If you ask my mother whether she ever considered the ramifications of having a mixed child under apartheid, she would say no. She wanted to do something, figured out how to do it, and then she did it. She had a level of fearlessness that you have to possess to take on something like she did. If you stop to consider the ramifications, you will never do anything. Still, it was a crazy, reckless thing to do. A million things had to go right for us to slip through the cracks the way we did for as long as we did. Under apartheid, if you were a black man, you worked on a farm or in a factory or in a mine. If you were a black woman, you worked in a factory or as a maid. Those were pretty much your only options. My mother didn't want to work in a factory. She was a horrible cook and never would have stood for some white lady telling her what to do all day. So true to her nature, she found an option that was not among the ones presented to her. She took a secretarial course, a typing class. At that time, a black woman learning how to type was like a blind person learning how to drive. It's an admirable effort, but you are unlikely to ever be called upon to execute the task. By law, by apartheid law, white-collar jobs and skilled labor jobs were reserved for whites. Black people didn't work in offices. My mom, however, was a rebel. And fortunately for her, her rebellion came along at the right time. I like rebellious people. Positive rebellion. That's one of the reasons I love Kwame Nkrumah. Like, in this world, you need some amount of positive rebellion in you. The ultimate goal of apartheid was to make South Africa a white country with every black person stripped of his or her citizenship. Black children were forced into crowded classrooms, in dilapidated schools, often with teachers who were barely literate themselves. Trevor's talking about scenes from apartheid centuries ago, but you think we are discussing Ghana's educational system, because this is still a reality, and it's a shame. Fix the country. This scene is about the poverty Trevor's mom herself grew up in. For dinner, there might be one chicken to feed 14 children. My mom would have to fight with bigger kids to get a handful of meat or a sip of the gravy or even a bone from which to suck out some marrow. And that's when there was food for dinner at all. When there wasn't, she'd steal food from pigs. She'd steal food from the dogs. The farmers would put out crumbs for the animals and she would jump for it. She was hungry. Let the animals fend for themselves. There were times when she literally ate dirt. She would go down the river, take the clay from the river bank, mix it with water to make grayish kind of milk. She would drink that to feel full. Bro. But here's something Trevor's mom keeps telling him. Life is full of pain. Let the pain sharpen you. Don't hold on to it. Don't be bitter. We'll try. And Trevor was a real stubborn kid. He says one of my uncles stopped calling me Trevor. He called me Terror instead. Don't leave that kid alone in your home. He'll burn it to the ground. But I was blessed with another trait I inherited from my mother. Her ability to forget the pain in life. I remember the thing that caused the trauma, but I don't hold on to the trauma. I never let the memory of something painful prevent me from trying something new. That's hard. Trevor says to spend time crying, then wake up the next day and move on. You have a few bruises and they'll remind you of what happened, and that's okay. But after a while, the bruises fade, and they fade for a reason. Because now it's time to get up to some shit again. Trevor also says there's always a way to make it work, and often that was the most fun part. Working the angles, solving the puzzle, seeing what goes where, who needs what, whom we can connect with, and who can get us the money. There was always a way to make it work. On Trevor witnessing physical abuse in his home firsthand, he writes, "He hit my mom once. Then the next time was 3 years later, and it was just a little bit worse. Then it was 2 years later, and it was just a little bit worse. Then it was a year later, and it was just a little bit worse. It was sporadic enough to where you think it wouldn't happen again, but it was frequent enough that you never forgot it was possible. There was a rhythm to it." I highlighted this because I think it's a warning sign, right? It's a consciousness to have at the back of your mind in case you ever find yourself in an abusive relationship or even a close one of yours does. You just know that there's a rhythm to abuse, right? Happens today, next time it happens is 3 months time, 1 year's time, 2 years time, and each time it happens it gets a little bit worse, right? So this is just a knowing to have at the back of our mind. Now I want to dwell on an account Trevor shared that I'm calling the big push. Okay, you know how growing up in severe poverty can force you to become an early hustler. You have to be out there to work, to fend for yourself and even your family. And Trevor's story was no different. Okay, he became an entrepreneur in the hood. Okay, he became a successful entrepreneur in the hood. Life was beginning to get a little better. He was getting food to eat. He was becoming the cool guy and everything. And he shared this bit from there. Life was good, and none of it would have happened without Daniel. Without him, I would never have mastered the world of music piracy and lived a life of endless McDonald's. He was into showbiz, okay? What he did on a small scale showed me how important it is to empower the dispossessed and disenfranchised in the wake of oppression. Daniel was white. His family had access to education, resources, computers. For generations, while his people were preparing to go to the university, my people were crowded in thatch hut singing. 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6, la 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 la. My family had been denied the things his family had taken for granted. I had a natural talent for selling to people, but without knowledge and resources, where was that going to get me? People always lecture the poor. Take responsibility for yourself. Make something of yourself. But with what raw materials are the poor to make something of themselves? People love to say, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. What they don't say is, and it would be nice if you gave him a fishing rod. That's the part of the analogy that's missing. Working with Daniel was the first time in my life I realized you need someone from the privileged world to come to you and say, okay, here's what you need, and here's how it works. Talent alone would have gotten me nowhere without Daniel giving me the CD writer. People say, oh, that's a handout. No, I still have to work to profit by it, but I don't stand a chance without it. And this brings me to the phenomenon that I call the big push. Trevor had talent, he had ideas, he had skills, capabilities, but that was just it. He wasn't in a position in life where he could make the most out of these. It took someone else handing him a simple tool, a CD writer, for him to break through. And that right there is the big push. The big push is any act, big or small, that significantly accelerate your life trajectory, okay, by either removing a barrier, giving you access to a room, unlocking your potential. That's it. The big push propels you. It pushes you forward faster. It places you in a better situation than you would have without it. Do you get me? And it doesn't have to always be something big. It could be small. The big push could be something as simple as a book someone gave you that shifted your thinking. It could be a sermon you listened to that opened your eyes to understanding God as a guide for your life. It could be a company someone holds your hand into to go and work in a role you aren't even fully qualified for, but you've been given the chance to work, to learn on the job. The big push could be your parents ensuring that you have an Ashesi degree. The big push could be a program you participated in. The big push could be someone you met. The big push could be an advice someone gave you. The big push could even be a partner, a romantic partner comes into your life, and the aura, the energy, the vibe they bring, the way they put you on your 10 toes alone. It could be a simple idea somebody gave you. It could be a business of yours, business idea that somebody funded. It could be a fellowship you participated in. It could be anything. Okay, the big push is that event that just sets the stage for a positive turnaround in your life. Okay, that event that elevated you or just started your elevation journey. Do you understand? That is the big push, and everybody needs the big push in their lives. Everybody. The big push could be coming from someone to you. It could be coming from you to someone, and it could also be coming from you to yourself. For example, I have this friend who says the best thing they did for themselves back then in school was to master Excel, because upon graduating, they never used their certificate, and every job they got that is feeding them and making life better for them today is because they mastered Excel. For that person, that's a big push of their life, or that can be the big push for them, right? And it came from themselves to themselves. Okay, I know that most of the time you're always looking out there for who can help us and who can come through for us, but there's also someone out there that you can give a big push to. So I want us all to have this consciousness and look out there for whom you can give a big push to. Remember, it doesn't have to be big. It can be small, very small. The big push can come from someone to you. It can come from you to someone else. It can come from yourself to yourself. Okay, so I want us to have this consciousness and to always look out there for whom we can give the big push. Okay, even as the big push comes from someone else to us. And then most importantly, we want to always be looking at ourselves to ask ourselves what's a big push that we can give ourselves. My biggest takeaway from this book is that we all go through hell in life, okay? And the traits that you would need to go through this hell: grit, courage, aswardine, stubbornness, rebellion, positive rebellion. I like rebellious people. And then some calm. Yeah, because there are points where Trevor's mom is going through the most and she's still like joyous, calm, believing in God. That's a bit far, that kind of thing. So yeah, and Trevor also got a big push from somebody that elevated him at that time in the hood. This year, we are carrying the big push consciousness along with us. We'll give others the big push, we'll receive the big push from others, then we'll give ourselves the big push as well.
I'm not gonna ask you to subscribe to this channel or even share this video, because what am I to order you about? I'll see you in the next video. Bye.